Okay. Hey, everybody. Paul Waller again, and we are back for another episode of Medicine with a Mission, presented by Christian Sports Medicine Alliance. This will be episode 5 in what we hope to be many, many more to come. And today, we are going to be talking with a young lady, an athletic trainer. Her name is Anna Doyel. She is living up in the Washington State area on the West Coast. And just to let you know that whoever's be watching this, what Medicine with a Mission broadcast, podcast, whatever you want to call it, what the intentions of this is to talk to sports medicine professionals that are living the Christian life, that are Christians, that are in the sports medicine field, whether it be athletic trainers, physical therapists, orthos, body, CSC, strength and conditioning specialists, sports performance, anybody that's in that umbrella of sports medicine that loves the Lord, that is a follower of Jesus Christ, that wants to share their story of how their profession and their faith mesh and how it comes together. And there's probably a story in there somewhere that we hope will encourage you, will strengthen you in your faith, because I believe that everybody has a testimony, everybody has a story to tell. So now we're going to go over to Anna. And Anna, thank you very much for joining me today. So tell me about, you and I talked on the phone and everything. You shared with me your story, but I want you to share with the people that will be hopefully watching this soon, because it's very interesting to me how you got from point A to point B to where you are now. So share with me where you are and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so my name's Anna. I currently live in Walla Walla, Washington, which I didn't know existed until I moved out here pretty much. But I currently work at a Division III college as an assistant athletic trainer. So I grew up in Arkansas and I went to college there, got my undergrad in athletic training, and then I went on to grad school in Colorado and did a master's in sports medicine. And then I finished up grad school and I was like, oh, well, I need a job. So I started applying and I found this job. I work at Whitman College in Walla Walla, and I found this job and I applied. I was like, I'm not sure, never heard of the town, never heard of the school, but I applied to it. And as I came out here for my interview, it was I was really stressed. I was like, oh, this is really far away from Arkansas, a big change. Definitely not the setting place I thought I would be. But I had so much peace. And I remember I came here for my interview and I was super stressed out. And then I took a nap and then I went and got a hamburger and a hot fudge brownie malt downtown. And I walked around and I had so much peace that I hadn't had in months, and I knew that this was where the Lord was calling me to go. So that's how I got here. Would you like to know more about how I got specifically into athletic training?
Yeah, how did you get into athletic training? What's your story? What's your background story with that?
Yeah, so did not grow up playing sports. My family was not involved in sports. We never really watched them. I grew up in 4-H. I did crafts and baked goods and entered things into the fair and did agility and kind of dog showing with my schnauzer that I grew up with. But I love to sit on my couch and knit. So there was no sports in my life. And I was always kind of scared of athletes because I thought they were so cool and so much more amazing than I could ever be, and I'd never be able to relate to them. So sports were never on my radar. I ended up going to the University of Central Arkansas because I wanted to do occupational therapy. I loved muscles and bones, and I loved helping people, and I knew that's something I wanted to pursue. I loved the medical field, but I wanted to do occupational physical therapy, and they had really good programs for both. So I went to that school specifically for that, and they told me, oh, they don't have the undergrad degree that I had gone specifically for. And so I had to pick something else. And so I picked health administration. I was like, yeah, I can do this, get it done, move on to OT school. And I took an Excel and Access class my first semester of college, and it was the the worst thing I've ever had to do. I was like, I can never take another computer class again. This is not happening. I got to change it. And so one of my roommate's friends was applying to the athletic training program, and she told me about it. And I was like, well, I'm terrified of athletes. I don't like sports. I don't like going outside. And I don't like wearing khaki pants. So sounds like a great opportunity. So I decided to apply for the intro program and or the intro class. And I took it, did my clinicals, and somehow, literally only God, I got into the program. Still really didn't know what an athletic trainer was only in it just to get a degree and then move on to OT school. I was not planning on staying in the athletic training field. Really had no idea what I had gotten myself into. But I continued. I was like, well, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to get this done. But it was hard because like I didn't grow up with sport. A lot of people, their story is that they got injured in high school, or they followed their athletic trainer in high school and they saw it. And so that's how they got into it. And so and I don't have the personality that I thought I was supposed to have, because a lot of people in sports are loud and outgoing and in your face and confident, and that is not necessarily me. And I felt like a lot of times I was told like, oh, you need to be louder, you need to be more assertive, you need to be this. And I was trying to shift who I was to be what I needed to be and what I thought I needed to be a good athletic trainer. And it was not working. And so the whole time I had to really learn how to rely on Christ and try to see how Jesus would be an athletic trainer, because it's such a giving profession anyways. Like you give of your time, you give of your energy, like everything regardless. And I was trying to see like, okay, like I can't do this by myself because I don't feel like I'm smart enough to be doing this. I don't feel like I have the personality to be doing this, but like I feel like this is where I need to be. And so trying to see, like how would Jesus be an athletic trainer? How would he fill up that water bottle? Or how would he tape that person's ankle? Or like when this person's really annoying me with their injury, like how would he respond to them in the kind way, in the loving way that would uplift them instead of brushing them off and trying to ignore them, you know? So that's kind of what I had to pursue. And even like through all of undergrad, it kind of felt like, oh, you don't have the right personality. You don't have the right personality. You don't have this. And I was like, I don't know why I'm in this or why I'm called to do this. And then I remember I had one preceptor my senior year of college who told me, and I'd never talked to him about this before, like no one knew that I struggled with feeling like who I was as a person was not the correct person to be. And he told me, and we were going through like my end of the semester reviews to see how I was doing and everything. And sorry, my dog. And he was like, I think one of your strengths is that you're quiet. And I was like, what? I was like, no one's told me that that's a good thing. And so I began to slowly see that, like, even though I may not have the personality or what most people think that I need to have, that's okay, and that God has specifically gifted me to help those athletes that are quieter, or even the ones that are loud and boisterous, to have someone to listen to them, you know, and not competing with them in their noise. And so it's been a lot of learning to see how like Christ has specifically prepared me to be in the spots that he's put me, and allowed me to work with the athletes he's allowed me to work with and the people that he's allowed me to work with, and seeing that even though I don't feel like I am enough to do this job, that he makes up for those spots and those in those areas where I am not reaching. He fills in those gaps. There's a quote that I love. It's from a song, but it basically says, I am not, but you are. And so in all my spots that I am not, God is, and he fills in those gaps. And so Jesus makes me a good athletic trainer. So that's.
And how long have you been in practice?
I've been certified for 3 years now.
3 years.
Yeah.
And do you ever look back and knowing that you grew up with, no athletic background whatsoever. Total opposite of how most athletic trainers get started. Over these 3 years, and now you're working at a at a college, at the college level,
Mhm.
do you still just sit back and you're like, I can't believe I'm still doing this. I can't believe I'm doing this.
Yeah, for sure. And when I told people that I was like switching my major in college, like they're like people that I known like my whole life. They're like, or did you lose your mind? Like, what is wrong with you? Are you the same person? Like, because I knew it, like sports was not my thing and
Yeah.
not anything that I ever thought I would pursue. But like, here I am. And all my preceptors would be like, I have never met anyone in this profession that hates athletics as much as you do. And I'm like, yeah, but I love the people and I love what I get to do.
Have you come to, I mean, have you come to appreciate athletics and sports now more
Yes.
than, yeah, I mean, obviously you probably have to. So during that whole time, and even during this last 3 years, have you seen your, and I'm actually going to write down, that's funny. I mean, I've never heard it phrased the way you said it. How would, if Jesus was an athletic trainer, how would he be? Or, you know, so I'm like, I'm going to write that down. That's a good topic to hit on, because I mean, you know, I probably have thought about that, but, you know, the qualities that we try to emulate, compassion, a healing property, caring, you know, those are obviously those are some attributes of Christ himself. And so really, as a Christian and an athletic trainer, we should always be emulating and portraying Christ to our athletes.
Yeah.
So have you seen him work in ways over the last 3 years that you just know for a fact it was completely his doing and nothing that you had to do with?
Yeah. So I remember again, like going back to my senior year of college, like we had our off-site rotations, and I was placed at a spot that I didn't want to be at. So I was already mad. I was like, I don't want to be here. And then I felt like I was pretty much useless there. And I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't feel like I'm doing anything productive. Like, this is a waste of my time. I'm not learning anything. Like, that's where I was at while I was at this location. And like, well, one thing I learned a lot is that I learned how to like talk to the athletes and just sit there and talk to them, because I didn't have other things to do. So I learned how to really interact and talk with the athletes. And I remember one of the athletes that I had worked with and done rehab with, he was at a camp that I worked in that summer. And I was talking to him afterwards, and he was like telling me how he was really sad that I wasn't going to be there anymore, and that like he was going to miss me a lot. And I was like, I was literally there for like, interacted with you for maybe like a week. Like, I don't know what I did. Like, we just sat and you told me about your life. Like, and I remember when he said that, I was like, I didn't do anything. Like, I was just trying to get to know you. And Winston, sorry, my dog is very excited about his toys. But yeah, I was like, I didn't talk to you, or like, I mean, I talked to you, but like, I didn't feel like I did anything. And I could see like, that like even in those little moments of just being present and listening to them has such an impact on their life. Like, I still don't think I did anything now. Like, so I can see that like Christ had worked through that moment. And there's so many other times where like I have seen that like God has used me to speak into an athlete or just be present and to listen to them. And I wasn't trying to do anything. I was just allowing like God to work and just trying to emulate Christ.
Yeah, that's fine.
Stop.
Yeah, my dog will do the same thing if she's asleep right now.
Maybe if I let me move his toy, so maybe he will not
Okay,
squeak it. I'll hold it.
there you go. So, as we kind of wrap this up, what would be, you know, what would be that, and again, the same question I've asked everybody, what is that verse or verses, story, whatever, that has sustained you? Because you came from Arkansas and now you're in Washington State. Two completely different areas of the country, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's just there's a different culture in Arkansas as there is in Washington State. So what has been that trend? What's been that verse or verses or story or whatever that has helped you make this transition and has helped you where you are now and has helped you just continue to grow in your faith?
Yeah. So I was like looking that up, and I think there's probably like, I mean, there's tons of verses and tons of things that are helpful, but I think like two things that I've read that have been the most helpful. The first is I love Oswald Chambers, and I loved his devotions, My Utmost for His Highest. I've read them since I had the little kid version, and we'd read them as I grew up. So I've read them for a long time, but I was looking, and like there's a part of one, and it's on August 10th. But it says at the very bottom, it says, God places his saints where they will bring the most glory to him, and we are totally incapable of judging where that may be. And like, that's something that really, I remember the first time I read that, like really stuck out to me, that like, I don't have a say in where I think I'm going to bring God the most glory. Like, if that's doing some incredible high profile job, or if that's doing some tiny thing that no one's ever going to see, if that's where God's bringing the most glory, then like, or getting the most glory, then that's where I need to be, and that's where I need to be placed. And that's something that I've had to incorporate a lot into like my journey, and like being where I need to be, and like seeing that like as long as I'm like resting in him and following after him, like he's going to place me in the spot that's bringing him the most glory, whether I think that it's doing anything or not. And then the other one is just like the story of Paul, when he talks about the thorn in his side, and it's in 2 Corinthians 12, 9 through 10. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, I will boast all the more gladly of my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ may rest upon me. For the sake of Christ, then I am content with weaknesses, insults, hardships, persecutions, and calamities. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So like, yeah, I wasn't persecuted or anything like terrible happened, but like I definitely, through my process of doing athletic training and getting my schooling and starting to enter into the work field, I've seen a lot where like, again, like I may not have the abilities in myself, or I may not have what people expect me to have, or those sorts of things, but he's going to make up for that. And like, he was going to make me perfect in my weakness. And if I can be honest about the weaknesses that I have, especially to my athletes, I think that's super important, that they can see that like, hey, I'm not going to sit here and try to tell you that I'm perfect, or like I know how to get everything done correctly. I think that helps to open up conversations with them that may not be opened if you're more honest about your life and the things that are going on in your life. I've seen that being really helpful to open up conversations with them where they're more comfortable with you, and they can see that like my athletes know I'm a Christian, but I very rarely have like specific conversations with them about Jesus, but like I make sure that they know they're loved, and they know the things that are going on in my life, and that they're cared for, and that, or I do my best. There's times that I fail, but like making sure that they know that like I'm a safe place, or like that it's a place they can come talk if they just need to vent, or even if they just want to come laugh and have fun, that like I'm available for that. And I think that that's really important in like bringing all those things together.
You know, and what's even more, also what's important about that is that what's encouraging from hearing you say that is that, okay, your student athletes know that you're a believer, more than likely.
Mm-hmm.
No, but they will know that you are a Christian by your love for Christ. Not necessarily what you do for them, but how much you love them in Christ is how they know that you're a follower. And that's probably one of the most attractive things that we hope is how we attract people to us and to Christ, is because we love them. And I bet you anything, your student athletes know that it's authentic, it's real, it's personal. So your love for Christ is personal to you, and your love for your athletes is personal. And it's, and your faith is unwavering. You know, I mean, you're in a, like I said, you're in a situation that I mean, you're coming from point A and you're coming way over here. So, and I assume you probably have had challenges living in Walla Walla, living on the snow side of the mountain range. And it's beautiful country up there. And I guarantee it's probably been a challenge because you're a long way from home, a long way from family. But the encouraging, again, I want people to be encouraged because you knew that you were where you were supposed to be, because you were already walking in lockstep with Christ already. And you just knew you had that peace that he says, I'll give you a peace that no one can understand. No one can comprehend. You can't explain it, but you just knew that where you are now is exactly where you're supposed to be.
Yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay, well, before we end, I think since we have kind of been introduced to your four-legged fur baby, I think we need to see your four-legged fur baby.
Oh yes, he would love to be seen.
He needs to get some camera time.
For sure. He loves any attention. So this is Winston.
Look at that.
And it's going to be I don't know when his birthday is, but I got him almost a year ago on October 16th. So that's coming up. So we're trying to plan what fun things he'll get to do and who he can find to tell him that, oh, he's got cobwebs on his face. Who he can find to tell him that he is cute.
Well, he is a cute one. So, Anna, I thank you very much for joining us. And Winston, I thank you for hopping also, kind of sharing your personal life. And again, I thank you very much for just sharing your life, your story, your testimony, and your faith, not only with the people that will view this, but the people at your school and the people you come in contact with in your community that you're living in. And again, thank you very, very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yep.